With their season on the line, the Portland Trail Blazers showed up in Game 6 to push this Western Conference semifinals to a Game 7. The Portland Trail Blazers are one game away from the Western Conference Finals, and they will play Sunday. I will have a video later tonight detailing what I think the Blazers should do in Game 7. So let's jump straight into the footage from Game 6. Now, after a very poor Game 5, the Blazers had a first quarter that was much like the previous game. Defensive plays like this, where they get mixed up on their communication and two guys guard the ball and leave a guy wide open underneath the rim. We saw a bit of this in this first quarter. Al-Farouq Aminu did hit a 3 early on, but he has struggled with his shot so far in this series. He's also struggled defensively. Here he lets Nikola Jokic take him from half court all the way into the paint, and Jokic is able to get a bucket inside. Jokic should definitely not be blowing by Al-Farouq Aminu. Something Portland did a couple times in this game was help on Jokic post-ups from the first pass away. This is an easy pass out of the double team, and I'd rather this help came from across the court. Not only is that pass harder to throw, but it's also a longer pass, so it gives Portland more time to close out on the potential shooter. Here they help from one pass away, and Gary Harris knocks down the 3. Portland was pretty sloppy in the first quarter as well. Here Kanter is really weak with the ball, and it ends up in a turnover. And then here again, you have Portland helping from one pass away, and Jamal Murray is able to get a wide open 3-point shot. With Portland down 9, they desperately need a bucket, and here Dame gets a little rhythm dribble and is able to knock down the step back 3. And then I complained about our isolation basketball in Game 5, and a big part of that was because a lot of it ended up with players settling for jump shots, especially contested ones. A big improvement in Game 6 was in these isolation situations, Portland was actually getting downhill and attacking the rim like CJ did with this drive right here, and then CJ yet again getting downhill to his floater, and Portland's offense was looking okay early on. The problem was its defense, as they were getting torched by the Nuggets during this first quarter. Millsap and Jokic getting to their floaters, and all of a sudden Portland is down 10. CJ gets to his floater, Portland back with an 8, but at this point in the game, it looked like a carbon copy of Game 5, and it had me worried. But Rodney Hood really stepped up. He's been attacking Jamal Murray all series, and here he's able to get a layup off the post up inside, and then he hits another bucket on a very tough shot where he rises above Mason Plumlee to knock it down. But Denver was really able to get great 3-point looks. Here the paint is pretty packed with both offensive players and defensive players. Rodney Hood does not need to help this much, and he's not really providing any fortification. He's way too far off Gary Harris to bother this shot, and Gary Harris gets a great look, and Denver has 30 points with a little under 2 minutes remaining in the first. Rodney Hood does get it back though, as he gets a wide open 3 as Jokic switched onto him and didn't even try to bother this 3-point attempt, but Portland's defense continued to struggle. Here Enes Kanter overreacts to the handoff action. Dame got through this pretty well, but Kanter took a step too far and was not able to get back in front of this Jokic shot. Jokic gets a lay-in. Nearing the end of the first quarter, Portland desperately needs a shot, and Dame is able to knock down a pull-up 3. Now, if you notice, in Game 5, a lot of the screens were set further down the court, and Dame was dribbling sideways, and the Denver defense had an easier time setting up. You compare that to this screen, and it was set higher, and Dame was able to build a little bit of a head of steam downhill. That got Jokic retreating on his heels, and that allowed Dame to easily pull up for a wide open 3-point look. But here's another example of lack of defensive focus or communication or something. Enes Kanter is thinking switch here, and Evan Turner doesn't get the memo. He doesn't switch on to Jokic. That allows Jokic to get a wide open mid-range look, as Seth Curry can't do anything to even contest this shot. At this point in the game, Portland really needed to step up its defense, and it didn't start at the very start of the second quarter. Evan Turner on Paul Millsap once again. I still do not like this matchup, and I still do not like the lack of defensive rebounding ability from the second unit with Evan Turner playing power forward against Millsap. But this unit is a lot better with Rodney Hood scoring like he's been lately. Here he gets the and one floater in the lane, and then here we have CJ breaking down the defense, dropping it off to Collins, who gets an and one layup. Really good job by CJ attacking the rim all game long, and Portland was much more aggressive in Game 6 than they were in Game 5, and it really worked out to their favor. Defensive rebounding though, you can't have Will Barton following his own miss with 4 Blazers just standing around him and being able to get a putback lay-in. This was a very nice 3 by CJ, and Zach Collins stepping up on the defensive end with a huge blocked shot. A little bit of a scary fall, but he was alright, as on the very next play he was able to finish with this patient move inside. Good pump fake, good patience, and a good finish by Zach. He was huge all game long. I think Collins will be an X factor for Game 7, and I'll talk more about that in my Game 7 preview. And then after Will Barton 3, you had Barton on Rodney Hood. Barton's a little bigger defender than Rodney Hood's been seeing, but that doesn't matter. Rodney Hood is still able to post up and score inside. Portland is desperately trying just to tie this game, but defensive rebounding, once again, a problem. Portland was finally able to get the lead with a Dame step back three-pointer. Dame had a much better rhythm in this game and was much more decisive when attacking the pick and roll, as he shows here, as he put his head down and got downhill against Jokic and was able to get a lay-in. Now, a little side note, I see a lot of expert analysis on national airwaves saying that Jamal Murray is showing himself to be a star in the series. Honestly, Jamal Murray has gotten far too good of looks if you're a Blazer fan or player or coach or anything related to the Portland Trail Blazers, because this team has really struggled to take away looks like this. You cannot be giving up this look to Jamal Murray, but I don't think Jamal Murray is proving himself to be a star player by knocking down shots like this. I mean, even Zach Collins can knock down shots like that. I mean, come on now. That Collins 3 put Portland up by 3, and then here we have Kanter rumbling inside, and Portland is up by 6 at the end of the quarter. Jokic is able to cut it down to 4, but it was nice for Portland to just have a lead after how poor they looked in the first quarter. Here again, you have the Blazers helping from one pass away. That ends up with Harkless having a very poor closeout on Murray, and he's able to create a solid look for himself. But CJ's consistent ability to get downhill was very impressive in this game and was definitely huge for our offense. But defensively, our forwards really struggled. Al-Farouq Aminu was out of position on 2 plays in a row. On the second one, he fails to pick up ball, which was a big mistake. You have to pick up ball in transition. It's the most dangerous thing on the court, and Aminu fails to do so. I'll talk more about Aminu and Harkless in my Game 7 preview, as those guys have really been struggling lately, and I have some strong thoughts on what we should do with them. Now, this is something that I did not see in Game 5 that I really liked. Here, Dame comes off his normal handoff, but he reverses course and gets a rescreen from Kanter, and this creates enough space for him to attack Jokic and get to the free throw line for a pull-up jump shot. Now, at this point, Dame has a bit of a rhythm, and as I said, I don't mind him shooting these shots if he has a rhythm, because his shooting percentage is much higher on these types of shots when he's hit 1 or 2 before it. And Portland's defense improved throughout this entire game. Here, Harkless is able to get a deflection, get a run out, drop pass to Aminu, who gets fouled. Aminu missed both free throws though. Portland has been awful from the line lately. They definitely need to improve that going into Game 7. And then although Aminu has struggled with his shot so far this series, you can't leave him that open. He knocks down the 3. Other end, Torrey Craig gets it right back. He shot very well during this game. But Portland was really trying to create separation, especially Dame. 2 possessions in a row, he decisively attacks the pick and roll and is able to get downhill and end up getting very good looks for himself. But Nikola Jokic had something to say about that. He had 2 jumpers in a row, 1 a 3, and this put Denver up by 1. Dame comes right back just like a superstar does, and at this point he is fully locked in. He knocks down the deep pull-up 3, and the Nuggets and Blazers are answering each other's runs. On this possession, Zach plays very good defense even though Millsap scores the lay-in. That was a tough shot, and I do like Collins on Millsap. But on the other end, at this point, you know it's Dame time. Here, he pulls up for a very deep 3, and it's nothing but the bottom of the net. Now, somebody in the comment section pointed out this play. They thought Kanter might have backed off Jokic on purpose to allow Collins to rotate over and get the block. I don't think that's necessarily what he tried to do. I think he tried to pull the chair hoping Jokic would fall down or lose his balance, and Collins just came over for a great weak side block. Zach had 5 blocks in this game, and he was huge down the stretch. Now, I really love this play from Dame. Here, he had just split the trap, and the trap is trying to catch up with him and trap him on the sideline. With him being hot, Millsap doesn't want him to shoot a step back 3, and Dame steps back like he's going to shoot it, even pump fakes. That gets Millsap to jump in the air to try and contest the shot, but Dame doesn't shoot it. The Millsap contest actually opens up a passing window for Dame to lead Kanter perfectly into the paint. Denver has to rotate up to take away Kanter, and he drops off a pass perfectly for Collins, who gets fouled inside. That was great ball movement from the Blazers that we did not see in Game 5 and that we need to see in Game 7. That was all started by a subtle but very good play by Damian Lillard. At this point, Portland is up 9. They can get the lead to double digits at the end of the quarter, but they end up turning the ball over. Gary Harris driving the other way, and although he uses a bit of the off arm, Zach Collins is still able to somehow get this block. Terrific block by Collins, and Portland is looking good headed into the fourth quarter. However, defensive rebounding was a severe problem. After Portland built that 9-point lead, Denver cut it to 4 with 2 straight buckets off of offensive rebounds. But CJ once again putting his head down more than I've ever seen him do in a playoff game and getting to the rim. And here, Rodney Hood does the same. Great Euro step, great finish inside. And then after a big stop on the very next possession, Rodney Hood pulls up for 3 and he shot that shot with a ton of confidence. This dude is playing with a confidence level that he hasn't played with since his days as a member of the Utah Jazz, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. And at this point, Portland is officially making a run. CJ, floater, another 2 points. Now Portland is finally up double digits and Rodney Hood is hot, so he could easily shoot this 3, but he is patient and makes the right pass to Turner inside, and this pass completely collapses the defense. Turner makes the right pass and kicks it out to Curry, who has an open 3, and he's able to knock it down. Beautiful ball movement by the Blazers, and I absolutely loved it. And then here, Jokic faces the best defense he's faced all series, with Zach Collins getting yet another blocked shot. And then even though Rodney Hood had 22 points at this point in the game, Denver still was curiously leaving him a bit open from 3, and Rodney Hood took advantage, knocked down yet another one. And at this point, Portland is up 14, and they wouldn't look back. Here, Zach Collins doesn't get a block, but it's more great defense as he draws the charge on Jokic. And then you have a little bit of a brawl, or a fight, or a petty little shoving match, whatever you want to call it. There's not much to be made out of this. Barton definitely overreacted, and then poking Curry in the eye was definitely a little bit much. But there was no fines or suspensions from this, and I honestly don't think there really should have been. This fight won't affect Game 7, and it's pretty meaningless. Here, Jokic cuts the lead to 11 with the 3-point shot, and then Dame has some trouble with the dribble, and he's fighting the shot clock, dribbling downhill at Jokic, who obviously fouls him, but Dame doesn't get the call and manages to hit an insanely tough shot. That was an amazing shot by Dame, and it's funny how when Jokic has 5 fouls, he's allergic to picking up that 6th foul. It's like he all of a sudden becomes invincible and cannot foul. That should have been a 6th foul, it wasn't. They only call a 6th foul if the game is out of reach, which they did in this game. They fouled him out, but I believe it was with about a minute left and Denver down by double digits. Now this was an absolutely terrific play call by Terry Stotts coming out of the timeout. This is the type of play that I wish we would run more of. Here you have Dame setting a screen on Jokic, and this screen gets Denver a little bit confused. No one stays with Dame as he cuts off a Collins screen up to the top of the 3-point arc. With Dame being hot, Millsap panics and runs with Dame. This leaves Zach Collins wide open, diving to the rim, and he's able to get a slam dunk. This is the type of screening that I wish we had more of. This is the type of wrinkle and the type of play that I really like. And this set was a great example why, and it was a great play call by Terry Stotts. At this point, Portland's feeling Game 7, so is Jusuf Nurkic, and CJ all but caps it off with a very tough, almost falling over, fadeaway mid-range jump shot. That was an insanely tough shot, much harder than it looks. How he was able to keep his balance on that shot is amazing to me. And then this play was symbolic of Portland's Game 6. Here CJ could shoot a contested 3, he passes it up to pass it to Turner. CJ moves very well off the ball, relocates, and gets a wide open look. And this basically capped off the game for Portland. Up double digits with under a minute left. We're looking at a Game 7. Now, I was a little bit worried after Game 5, as it seemed that Portland had finally regressed to the style of play that we saw last season in the New Orleans Pelicans series. But Portland made a statement in Game 6. After 2 disappointing losses, they essentially reversed course and got back to the things that they need to do in order to win this series. Moving well off the ball, moving players, being willing to make the extra pass, playing with some intensity on defense, playing with a better focus, and playing more disciplined. All those things were much improved from Game 5 going into Game 6. Now, considering when Portland struggles with those things, I tend to give the coaching staff a little bit of flack for that. I guess I gotta give them credit when it improves. These are definitely all things that we're going going to need to be able to do in Game 7, but I'll talk more about Game 7 in the video dropping tonight. Now, it might drop tomorrow morning. I don't know exactly when it's going to drop, but I'm hoping it'll be a little bit before, or maybe a little bit after midnight. Either way, it'll be up a few hours before Game 7, so make sure you check it out. So with that being said, I'm out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed this Game 6 recap. This has been Tori. I'll see y'all later. Peace out. Go Blazers.